What's up, baby?
Not too much, boo-boo. How are you this evening?
Wonderful. We're here on a Tuesday night.
Tuesday night. It's been a short week since our last episode.
I like the Tuesday. I like the week, though, like when we're filming during the week. I kind of like, we were filming on like a Sunday.
Yeah.
And it kind of like tied up our weekend hours. And
Yeah.
I kind of like this evening after work rolling in here. So
Yeah.
maybe we'll keep it.
I do like it.
Okay,
I do
good.
especially like coming in and having our evening coffee here.
Yes.
It's weird because last week, I guess this is something worth talking about.
Oh, gosh.
Because I was just sitting here. We're about to talk about drugs on this episode.
Hence the theme of the tie-dye.
Which is why we got our tie-dye shirts on. So I decided last week I got very high for the episode. I was like chit-chatty as hell. I had a lot to say.
Oh, yeah.
That was a lot of fun. And because we're talking about drugs here, I decided I was going to get extra high again. And like today...
Do you feel like you're extra high?
Oof,
Oh,
I think so. I think that's why like we're sitting here and we didn't know like how to kick off the conversation. And I was like, I don't even know what I want to talk about right now. I have like not much that I want to say. So we'll see. We'll see if maybe the evenings I get like a little, ooh, yeah, I'm not going to say that.
What?
I was going to say a little more tired, but your boy never gets tired. Your boy never gets tired.
Never.
Rule number 1, I never get tired. So like,
What's your rule number 2?
I'll let you know when I figure that out.
Don't say try.
Don't say try is definitely up there. Yeah, no, I'm coming to life now. So
You're coming back?
I think
You're
you'll get
back?
an hour out of me.
Great.
But I guess we were kind of starting to think like, do we have updates this week? But we kind of don't. It's been a short week.
Yeah.
We've done a lot. We've done a ton, but I wouldn't say anything new since the last episode as far as like updates are concerned.
Yeah.
So,
No updates there.
I know you wanted to start by
I
maybe
mean,
talking about like
the only thing like I've done differently, I just started it yesterday, again being Monday, is a new workout format for the next 4 weeks. I just started to realize after years of like traditional like bodybuilder lifting, like with like my split days, that I just was not really, I was feeling stagnant with my overall results. So I've switched it up and I've been really enjoying the past 2 days. Have been really lovely. And I've been waking up and actually doing it before work, which has been really nice too. Because it's not like heavy weights that I'm lifting.
Yeah.
It's more like full body movements and HIIT stuff that it's a little bit lighter on the body early morning. And maybe I'll keep that up and switch it up completely.
Yeah.
And that'll be really nice too. Then maybe getting that back for like the evenings for us to be together and doing stuff.
Yeah.
Because right now it's wake up, work out, and then we work until 11 o'clock at night. And then we're finally like sitting and watching like a podcast or a comedy show or something.
Yeah,
So
I
freeing
think
up the nights would be nice.
I guess we'll see like what it does for you, how you continue to like it, and maybe I start to incorporate something like that a little bit more because I do my heavy strength training stuff, bodybuilder, power lifter style workouts, and I for a very long time have also done an intense HIIT workout every week too. And when I say an intense HIIT workout, it's like as hard as it gets in terms of a workout is concerned.
Yeah.
That's the worst one of the week. But I've been posting to Instagram a lot saying how I've started running a lot recently, and I hate running. I hate it so much, and I've never liked it at all. I've never necessarily been good at it. I've never appreciated it. I know a lot of people really seem to enjoy it, and they find it like meditative and
Get the runner's high.
Yeah, get the runner's high. Well, a runner's high is apparently like the only high that I don't have at this point because I just can't understand it. I hate it. It's miserable to me. It's the most like boring thing I can imagine. I've tried everything to try to make it enjoyable, and it just simply isn't. But I refuse to not be fast. I refuse not to be strong. I refuse to not be able to do anything that I know that I have at all any capacity to endure. So I'm running. I'm sprinting. I'm hill sprinting.
Is your pace increasing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting faster. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But like getting faster is the easy part. Like I know I'm going to get faster. If I do it, I will get faster. The difference is like I want to learn how to like it.
Yeah.
That's what.
I mean, sometimes
that's the true challenge.
Yeah.
Not the getting faster. It's learning to like it is the challenge.
I mean,
In some ways, getting faster while not liking it is the actual challenge. And maybe that's what I'm actually trying to prove to myself, is that I can get faster even though I really hate it and I do not like doing it even a little bit.
I believe that you'll be able to do that. I feel like you're going to be able to push yourself to do that.
It's only going to make me want to do it more.
Exactly.
So I haven't been doing the HIIT workout, so maybe I'll start to like incorporate something like what you're talking about into mine.
And it's nice because, again, I was feeling stagnant with everything. And so I reassessed, evaluated, and found this program that's just going to be something new and different. And why not try it?
Yeah, it's the first time I'm not your trainer.
I know.
So we'll see how it goes.
It's this like hot girl.
Poozle went with an online trainer. I don't like even announcing that to the world that I am not your trainer. You said that you're not my trainer. You said I found this program.
Yeah.
Well, it's out there. I am no longer Poozle's trainer, at least for this month. And we'll see. We'll give it a fair shot, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, and then again, if anything, I'm going to take it and incorporate those things into my workout, like reprogramming, just to try out something new.
Yeah.
You got to learn from other people. You can't just be like the only thing.
No, I totally agree.
Well, you're offended. Like,
I'm a little offended.
But again, I'm taking from somebody else and trying to see what she has to offer, and then learning from it, and then taking it back. It's okay.
It's fine. It's not a problem. We just don't have to be announcing it to the whole internet. I like being your trainer. I like people thinking I'm your trainer.
Oh my God. Okay, well, I'll give you some feedback and then you can remodel a workout program, okay?
I will. I will. And I'll do it better than that chick did, for sure.
And then I'm going to get into my kickboxing and my boxing.
Ooh, I can't wait for that. That is going to be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're thinking about...
Hell yeah. I want to get into like a boxing class or kickboxing or something, but I won't go in the ring. I won't. I'm not going to go fight and get like CTE or whatever.
I would love to see you in the ring. Only because I know you would whoop ass. You would whoop ass.
Yes, but I don't want to be hit.
I don't want to see you get hit either. And honestly, if I did see you get hit, I don't even know how I would feel, but I know that you would whoop ass. Like I can't even, I can't imagine you not. I would love to watch that.
So opposite of me, because you want to get into
jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
I do jiu-jitsu.
I can't.
I will eventually. Well, let me get good. Let me get good at running first, and then I'll move on to jiu-jitsu. So that's like on the dock. That's not even on my map right now, because my massive action plan is only like the next 3 years. I don't anticipate doing jiu-jitsu for at least 5 years. Based on my like current bandwidth.
Okay, what's on that big map? Like when the years you're doing jiu-jitsu, what else is on there?
Growing pot, learning how to grow pot.
Okay, we'll get to that topic.
Yeah. And then doing like learning how to do like decorative landscaping is also on that list of things that I want to get into.
What was your what's the word? What did you see? What was your inspiration to be like, I want to do this in the future? Do you remember?
Yeah, I was at the Wynn in Las Vegas, and we were. And they have like all these gorgeous flowers, not just on the grounds, but in the lobby as well. And I was just like, I've grown to love not just plants, but like actually tending to my plants over the last several years. Really starting around COVID, and I learned more about them. I killed them at first. When I first started tending to my plants, like I would buy them and I had no idea what to do with them. And I was just like, they'll live, and then they die. Because I didn't know what I was doing, and I actually am very regretful of that. It's the thing that like kind of still like kills me. So they died, especially now. It didn't bother me that much at the time. But it does now. So they died. I would get another whole grouping of plants, and I would just like water them like crazy this time. And then some of them did okay, and some of them died. And then I realized like, okay, you have to actually take care of each of these plants differently. So then you have to learn about them, and then you have to learn what they like and what they don't like, and where they're best to
sun
be. And also just like what's, the ones are better in particular our climate versus other climates. And it's just become something that I just absolutely love. I love it. I love talking to my plants. I love being out there watering my plants, trimming them, We play tricks on each other.
Oh boy.
Me and the plants. We do. We play little games with one another. And it's something that like I've again grown to love, and like being able to do big like wild landscapes of like not necessarily like floral arrangements, but like big scapes of like plants and horticulture would be something that's on my long term roadmap.
I can't wait to see 60-year-old Jared at the Wynn tending to all the new plants and all the flowers.
I'm still this jacked, 60 years old, high as fuck, and just like spritzing
the flower arrangements.
The flower arrangements, making sure they look nice and vibrant.
Well, I think since we're on the topic of plants, let's dive into it.
Let's go.
Plant medicine.
Plant medicine. Okay.
When was the first time you got high?
I'm 37 right now, and I was 34 the first time that I got high.
34?
Yeah, 34 years old.
Okay. What was before that, what did you think of like weed or mushrooms or anything, any type of substance?
Yeah, I was pretty much like, when I was younger, I would say I was like pretty much against the idea of it, at least for me. As I got older, I realized it was, something that like some people did, some people didn't, and I kind of like didn't care quite as much. And then as time went on, I got to be like, okay, well, probably should be legal. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be. Still not for me. Reason being is like, of course, I was, I guess, like victim to the DARE campaigns, if you want to put it that way, and just after school specials or the don't do drugs campaigns of like the 80s and 90s. Of course, like many children were, why I listened to it and paid attention to those things and so many other people didn't, I have no idea. I really don't.
Me being one of them.
Yeah, what do you mean?
In high school, I like partaked in weed.
I don't know, and I was like so not into it. I thought it was
well,
like
and
gross.
that's what the funniest thing. I did it like probably any high schooler. Like, sorry, you're supposed to like experiment with things, and that's like the worst thing I ever did. I mean, I had people like doing all sorts of things and crushing pain pills and snorting them, all that kind of stuff like was going on in high school. But I was like, no, I just want to like get high on weed. And I did it early, and I like told you once we like started dating, and you're like, you did that? And I was like, yeah. I was like,
you're white trash. Like, you're so white trash. And now, meanwhile, you
really did.
I know.
And I remember
I probably did.
like, I was like trying things in high school. Like and I was like, okay, well, that's fine. Like, I don't really want to do it again anyway right now.
And now, meanwhile, every night, like, we'll be like watching TV or like settling in. I'll be like, come on, baby, come get high with me. What do you mean you're not going to smoke?
I mean, it's not that bad, but it is kind of. And I'm like, stop pushing your drugs on me.
I'm like constantly pushing.
I have to say like, no, just say no to Jared.
I have become the bully from like the drug dealing where they're just like, people are just going to come and hand you drugs. Yeah. I'm that person now.
Yeah.
I'm like, come get high.
But I mean, it's a healthy relationship you have with it. Don't make it seem like that you're unhealthy with it.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it's getting to an unhealthy place. I love being high.
Okay. So let's talk then.
Yeah.
Like, what do you like about it then?
Well, let me just say, like, once again, I was pretty opposed to it when I was younger. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it was. I don't know why, but I just was. Especially because it wasn't like I was a major rule follower. Mm-hmm. So I'm not really so sure why, like, that was a rule that I followed, but I did. And then again, like, I got, like, more, didn't care about it as time went on. And then into my 30s, I was just like, it should probably just be legal. Mm-hmm. Like, why wouldn't it be? But I didn't really even have like much of an interest in doing it. But then when like Delta 8s came around, and again, it's kind of like, why was that the thing that pushed me over the top? I don't really know. Well, obviously, I had
during COVID. It
was during
right?
COVID,
yeah, because it was during like that time of like, it was 21 with the freeze.
It was right after. It was like late COVID.
Yeah. So
we're
you
still
started
to
get I think, I don't know. But I think you started to get a new perspective on things and realize, like, okay, like what will happen if I like take this? Will it open my mind a little bit more?
Because again, because I said it before on this podcast, COVID is one of the key dominoes in me losing my mind. And again, I say that positively. I say it positively. I say it is a good thing when I say I lost my mind. And that was clearly one of the things that when you think about like rules that you may have put into your brain that don't necessarily make sense, like that's obviously like a pretty immediate one, especially when, I've seen people smoke weed now my like entire adult life, and some of them are very successful.
Yep.
Some of them are just regular people. And then like some of them are scumbags, just like everybody. Like it's kind of like the same gamut that anything else spans. I personally found, especially in like my early 20s, late teens, early 20s, that a lot of my friends who would smoke pot, they basically like, I felt like they got lazy and they weren't really interested in like going out as much, doing as much. It was just like they were cool just being high.
Yeah, and like sitting on the couch, having the munchies, and
maybe
like
watching, playing video games and stuff. So like that's what I was afraid of really, was the idea of like getting lazy, not having ambition, and being complacent is really like was my fear with it more than anything. But with that all being said, like, so we're talking any drug, pot or whatever, like mushrooms, all of it. Like at this point, I've only done pot and mushrooms. And, those are, again, both things that I've just started doing in the last 3 years. And
so you started with the Delta 8s.
Yeah.
And then what did you like, when was it that you're like, okay, I want to try the real thing?
When I was able to get it legally, I think in Las Vegas or somewhere. Yeah. I don't remember. No, I don't fully remember, but I just know that I like as soon as I was able to just like get my hands on it after trying Delta 8, I was like, okay, I'm ready for the real deal. The real thing? Yeah.
But the first time I had the Delta 8 gummies, we took them together with friends out at the house. And I hadn't been high in like obviously years. And I took them, and it hit me much faster than it hit y'all. And I freaked out because we were having people over the house, and I was hosting and cooking dinner. And I was so high that I couldn't even like think clearly. And I like went and put myself to bed upstairs at like 5 o'clock at night. And I like laid up there, and you came in and checked on me.
All of a sudden, like we were with our friends. We were sitting on the couch watching
like,
a movie,
all day, like hanging out.
There was like some food out. Yeah. Like I think that you probably, I think you were making food.
I was
right?
making, yeah. I was. We had like appetizers, and then I was making a whole meal. I was like a whole evening. It was a Sunday night.
And we're
cooking.
We're like mid movie, and all of a sudden, Puzel's like nowhere to be found. And I'm like, where is she? And I go upstairs, and you're like cuddled like in bed under a blanket, and you're like, I'm too high to go down there.
I'm like, is this ever going to be over? Like anytime I looked at the clock, I was like, it's only been 5 minutes.
She's
like, what the fuck?
You were literally like, I have been high for so long.
And it was a crazy, like, overwhelming feeling of like this feeling of anxiety of like, I have people over the house now, and I have to like put on a show and like,
and
take
these are
care
really good friends.
I know, it's not like if I told them, but of course, and I didn't want to be like, I'm so high I can't take care of you, because then I feel like bad about it. So I was like upstairs laying down, having like these feelings of anxiety because I couldn't cook a meal. And then finally the high came down, and I was like, okay, I can do this. Yeah. Thank God. But then I didn't want to like touch anything for a long time after that.
You were.
I was so anti it. I was back on the no drug train.
Now then, you were like calling me white trash.
Yes.
You're white trash for those Delta 8 gummies you keep inhaling. I did that was the night I think I did the first ones actually. Right? I probably did them for the first time at the same time too.
Yeah, and then that whole weekend was the freeze where we went and
then so this is like the real story is I did the Delta 8 gummies that night. Uh-huh. I barely felt anything. Yeah. You obviously felt something. I didn't feel it. I definitely just didn't take enough, I don't think. I knew that there was like a couple weird, like little like flitters of weird thoughts that I was happening, but it didn't like register really all that much. Then that next week was the freeze. And we were like holed up in the house with no electricity and no water and nothing. And no heat even. We were bundled up in like all the clothes we owned. Uh-huh. And I didn't want to be drinking every night.
Yep.
And all I had was like that pack of gummies. So I was just like literally like took those gummies the entire week.
Yeah.
Like, and I like.
And we were at our friend's house, and
yeah.
like we would do like all the things we could during daylight because we didn't have power for that week. And then the sun would start to set. It starts getting really cold. We'd all bundle up, and then you would just take your gummies,
as
and
many
then
gummies
I think our
as
friend
I
did
could,
too.
basically, where I could like ration them for the course of the week. And I loved it. Like immediately, I absolutely loved it. I loved the way that my brain would think on them.
Mm-hmm.
I felt smarter on them than off of them.
Why do you say smarter? Like what?
I feel like my brain is finding. So the reason why I really like, we'll call it plant medicine, and and specifically the reason I like marijuana is because I feel like there's no place for me to hide from it. Meaning, if I have a lie that I've been telling myself, or even like a lie sounds like really aggressive, but if I'm just telling myself a particular story about something that may or may not be true, I found really early on the weed would like kind of make it pretty apparent to me that like what I was telling myself wasn't necessarily true. Now, it does a really good job of also explaining to me every other potential option that might be true. That's another thing I like about it. It helps me both like cut out bullshit, but it helps me like create more. It allows me to be more creative, or any one scenario, it gives me more options to consider.
Okay.
While also telling me that no one of them is actually necessarily the right one, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
No, try to like go through that one again.
So,
like, are you saying like when you?
It allows me to understand that the stories that I may have told myself about anything, or particular facts that I might have been told, are not necessarily true. And it allows me to like realize, Kanye West always says, you're 2 years old and you're told not to jump on the coffee table. Mm-hmm. And before you know it, you're 30 years old and the entire world is made up of all these coffee tables, and you're just like kept in line that way. Mm-hmm. And what marijuana has helped me do is see those coffee tables for what they are, which is bullshit. A lot of the rules in our life are not real. They're not like things that we actually have to abide by. They're things that we've been told to abide by, or that society makes us abide by. But like, there's no reason why we have to or should. Mm-hmm. And I certainly, in most cases, don't want to. So it makes me realize like what is worth listening to and what's not worth listening to, or what rules are worth following, which ones aren't worth following. So like, it helped me go like, there's a lot of bullshit here, and it helped me sift through that bullshit. Okay. Once it helped me sift through that bullshit, it allowed me to be a lot more focused on like where my attention should be. Mm-hmm. And then when I'm in that zone of focus, it allows me to not be as myopic and definitive in what the right answer is. It allows me to see more options, explore all of them with varying perspectives, and understand how other people might see those options.
It almost sounds like lawyer-ish. You're looking at something like from all different angles,
I mean,
and like
sort of. And then it helps me realize like, okay, like, and then it helps me narrow down from those options too. Mm-hmm. So like, I don't know how else to describe it, I guess, other than that, but it's helped me think about things far more critically, far more, in my opinion, realistically. It's helped me be more practical. There's 1,000 other things that we have plenty of time for me to go into that I want to go into of how it's helped me and the things that it's made me think about. But those, to put it as like, that wasn't succinct, but to put it as succinctly as possible, that is like how it's changed my way of thinking. And I love thinking that way. And
I think you think, like you went to law school. So like you have like that way of like kind of breaking down a situation and looking at it in all different ways. And so I think your brain, when you are on weed and plant medicine, like it does work that way versus someone else who is just like melted into the couch. Yeah. So again, it's very much like the medicine's the same, it's the user.
Yeah, I do believe that at this point. I do think like I would never say that this is something that everybody should
For
use.
sure, yeah, because not everyone's going to have the same result.
I think it automatically just heightens your already existing like brain patterns probably to some extent, or the weed does at least. Like I think if you're used to thinking a certain way, it just like amplifies that to some extent. So I luckily was like, I would say like a pretty critical thinker and had a lot of discipline. So when I thought that I was going to be lazy on weed, like I've only been more productive on it.
Yeah, for sure.
Without question. And like, I know that sounds wild. And it sounds like somebody who's addicted to marijuana would probably say. I have only been more productive on it because it's allowed me to cut out the bullshit, understand what to focus on, and then just like attack it. So I do think, however, that if I had started smoking weed when I was younger, I wonder if it would have prevented me from building that skill set of discipline and the way that I think about things. Yeah. So like maybe you almost need to establish the right habits when you're young first, and then the weed helps me amplify that, versus maybe it does make people lazy when they're younger. Who knows? Like I don't know that to be a fact, but like I know that the fact that I built those skills and I built those good habits in terms of my discipline is something that has made the weed okay for me. And if I didn't have that, then maybe I would be lazy.
Yeah, you had the foundation.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe.
No, I mean, that is a very interesting thought. Like, again, you had the foundation, like, and then it's just allowing you to like really break down into all those different areas.
Now, you like mushrooms.
I do like mushrooms.
You do like marijuana too. You just don't do it as much as I do. I smoke weed every day, Nate Dogg style. Hey. Smoke weed every day. But I literally do. And I'll talk about, like, I guess how I do that. But you really like mushrooms and you only smoke weed once or twice a week, maybe?
Yeah,
something like
and
that?
then
Or you take
like,
their
then
gummies?
we have like edibles.
So you take them a few times a week. So I guess like I want to know your experience with it, or what like it does for you and what you like about it.
So I enjoy it. In the beginning, when Delta 8 like experience was awful. For a long time, I didn't do anything, and then I would smoke weed or take an edible, and I feel like I would get high, and these feelings and like thoughts and feelings of anxiety would like start to become heightened, and you know what they say is like you just got to face them, or else it's gonna like rear its ugly head and like make you face it. But I was able to but I would just stop it. I wouldn't go into those thoughts and I wouldn't go into those feelings. So I'd always have this like feeling and thoughts of anxiety. And to the point that I would start like being like, okay, maybe I can't get high because I didn't want to face it. I didn't want to feel what I was like these emotions. And I've over the years have really worked on coming through and feeling my emotions and understanding my feelings and what the thoughts that are coming into my head and why and what it actually means and breaking it down. This was like a year and a half ago, 2 years, that we had a fun day of making weed butter in the house and like stayed in all like on a Saturday, made weed butter, hung out. And then that night, we listened to Drake. Which album were we listening to?
Take Care.
And we had all the lights down and like all the hue lights. The house was like beautifully lit, and I was on an edible, and
we were on a lot of edibles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot for me is like not.
Well, you took more than you normally do, and I definitely took a lot
And we
more.
were listening to Take Care, and
I don't do gummies very often.
Yeah. We were listening to Take Care, and the lights, and like being like with you, and just having a great day, and like I had the moment of euphoria, where I was like, wow, this is what it's all about, because I was able to break through feelings. We had a deep conversation that night. We kind of talked a lot about a lot of just things in our past and worked through those feelings and those emotions. And I always had, even after that, still underlying feelings of like anxiety here and there when like smoking. And that's it's something I just didn't like. And I was like, why am I having this? Like, why am I? And I knew what it was. And it was because of things I've done in the past. And I never forgave myself for it. Like you said, you forgave me. I was like, okay, that's fine. But like, I never forgave myself. And then we were in Sedona and we were on mushrooms. And walking through on the trail, we came upon these beautiful trees that were dead trees, but they were vibrant and they were blue. And I stood there, and you went like walking right into it. And you're like, are you seeing this? Like, we both saw it the same exact way. Like, these trees were so blue.
Yep.
And I stood there and I had this feeling of like, I can't go in there. Like, something was telling me like, don't go in. And this breeze came through, pushed me through. Like, essentially I felt like the trees were being like, nope, come on in. And I know this sounds super crazy, but I was high. And the trees were just like, the wind was blowing, and I was standing there, and I had this overwhelming feeling of like happiness, sadness, all these weird feelings, and like an inner, like a monologue with myself of like, what's going on. And the trees were basically just like, forgive yourself. You are fine. You're okay. Like, everything is great. And so the wind went back out. The trees were blowing. I was crying. It was a beautiful, beautiful day. So a couple of weeks later, we're home and I get high, and this is wild. And I know this sounds crazy, but it's true. I was standing in the shower. This is when I was high. I was like getting all like cleaned up for the night, and I start having a dialogue inside my head, and it's those feelings of anxiety are coming up, and the part of my brain where the weed was going like, you did something wrong, you've had like, you shouldn't forgive yourself. And then all of a sudden this like other part of my brain, which was the mushrooms, came in and basically said like, nope, we're not doing this. And like ever since then, I don't have any like bad, weird like feelings like that.
Yeah.
And I know it's crazy.
It's not crazy. Like, that's not crazy at all. That's rewiring your brain. That's what I like,
and that's what they say.
Plant medicines do.
And that's where like the mushrooms for me have been wonderful, and I do enjoy the feelings from mushrooms. The thoughts that I get, just really able to connect to nature in a different way, and just seeing things in a totally different perspective. So being on mushrooms. So
thank you, plant medicine. Thank you, trees in Sedona. And thank you, Drake.
Yeah, thank you, Drake.
Take Care is probably it's in the top 3 best albums, Drake albums at least.
But that's my relationship with it. And I still do enjoy to like, weed and all that. And like now I take it and I'm crazy productive on it. I take it and I like clean the house, like do my chores, get shit done. Like there's no like sitting and like, unless we were like wanting to, unless our intention with it is to like, let's take this and like chill for the night. Yeah.
But I guess like, what do you feel like you get something different out of marijuana versus out of mushrooms? I guess that was kind of my question.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. I think I connect better with myself and nature with mushrooms. I'm able to be more insightful with mushrooms.
Interesting. When I'm for me with marijuana, it's far more me focused. Mm-hmm. And with mushrooms, it's a lot more like big picture, like universe focused. So I feel a lot more connected with the world around me on mushrooms. I feel a lot more like introspective and like thinky, I guess, like about myself specifically when I'm on marijuana. And like I guess not just myself, but like myself in the world, like immediately around me, if that makes sense. Like what I'm doing and like what I need to do is a little bit more clear when I'm on marijuana versus mushrooms. It's more about like the universe and like my connection to like everything.
Yeah, where you are in a part of this world.
Yeah. In the universe in general.
The universe, yeah. I mean, something that you do enjoy doing is like smoking and then going on like a walk.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I guess maybe talk about like when you choose to get high and like why you would choose, like how you kind of lay it out. It's not like you're awake and bake.
No. There's definitely ways. I should start with, again, going back to some of the first things that I think thinking, or what I found myself thinking about when I was on marijuana. The cool thing about the weed is like with big picture stuff, it like creeps up on me. Mm-hmm. If it's like an immediate thing that's like happening right here, right now, like it helps me break through the bullshit pretty fast. When it's big stuff, it like backdoors it to me somehow. So I I found myself early on when I first started smoking weed, like first off saying, because I'm personally a person who's very comfortable being uncomfortable. I do that to myself on purpose all the time. That's what meditation is. That's what lifting really heavy ass weights is. That's what like these HIIT workouts are, and the running too. Yep. I'm pushing myself outside of my comfort zone all the time because that's where you grow. That's where life happens. And I'm really like comfortable with that. And I've always been as honest with myself as I can possibly be in terms of what I'm doing, if it aligns with what I believe I should be doing. It's one of the reasons why I've been disciplined my whole life. I like being confronted with criticisms of myself. It's uncomfortable, but I know that that's how you grow. So when I first started smoking weed, I said, like, I know that there's going to be bad, scary shit that happens. And like when that happens, I can't run from it or try to like get away from it or try to like justify it to myself. I want to confront it head on. I want the plant medicine or whatever to like beat the shit out of me and like tell me what's up and I'll fix it. And I've done, in my opinion, an outstanding job of that up to this point. I can count on, one hand probably the number of what I would consider to be negative experiences or what I think like most people would consider to be a negative experience. And they're all usually quite short, usually quite intense, and I get exactly what I need from it. And when it shoves whatever the problem is in my face, it's something it's always something that's myself pretty much. Yeah. I go, I get it. All right, that's done. It's fixed. Moving forward, like not going to worry about it anymore. And I just like fix it like that. And then it never reveals itself again because I fixed it. And it generally has made tremendous improvements like in my life, like tremendous improvements.
Yeah. I mean, it has helped you significantly.
Yeah. Like, for example, like the dumbest one ever, this was in the first episode. One of the first things that I thought while being high after pretty much deciding to open a gym was like, oh yeah, you could do this if you just budget your money effectively. Yeah. Blind spot for me. I'm just dumb. And like we just like shoved that in my face and goes like, hey, like this is how you would get to your goal if you actually wanted to. Like, do you want it bad enough or do you just want to say you want it? And I was like, no, I want it. Okay, I get it. Budgeting is what has to get done. And that wasn't even like a bad one. That was just like I guess what you would call like something of a breakthrough that I had in that moment. And now, because I'm constantly getting high and going on walks and doing self-reflection with myself and introspection, I can go on an hour-long walk and no joke have like 5 breakthroughs in like an hour, like small ones, but things that like break me past a blocker that I have at that moment that will help get me to the next level.
Is it more, because I think in the beginning it was a lot more personal blocks. Yeah. Do you think now it's more like business and creative blocks? Because in the beginning you would come back and be like, we need to talk. And like you would like break down. Yeah. Your emotions would come out. Yeah. Like not in a bad way. Like it was nothing, but I was always like, okay, you're okay. Yeah. It's okay. Let's talk it through.
I would walk through like what I realized with you. Yeah. And again, it's always like really obvious stuff. One of the things that also got like backdoored to me is I found myself when I would be watching television, seeing like celebrities or people that I'm familiar with, and whether they're like young artists or whether they were like older like celebrities of some sort, I'd be like start thinking about what their legacy was going to be. And I don't even know like why necessarily. I mean, I know why now, but I was just like, I would just find myself going like, I wonder what like Bill Maher's legacy is going to be in 20 years. Like randomly, Bill Maher is like a great example of that. Or like I'd be watching like the Grammys and I was like, I wonder what Billie Eilish's legacy is going to be. And I would like have this like weird thought pattern of legacies. Then when we would be with our friends, that thought of like legacies poured over into thinking about what our friends' legacies are going to be. We'd be in our house having wine or drinks and I'd be smoking or whatever. We're hanging out. I'd be like, I wonder what like so-and-so's legacy is going to be. Like they kind of like in 20 years, what are we going to be saying about so-and-so? Yeah. Like, and like what they were like today, like when we're hanging out. And then I kind of like started to also see people in terms of like archetypes of like different
Yeah,
people and
I
like be able to
remember
like kind of
yeah.
like group people into like certain categories all of a sudden. And eventually that started to go to like, of course, as it should. And like, why didn't it just hit me like this at first? It was because like I needed to get back into it the right way. It was like, what's your legacy going to be? What is Puzel's legacy going to be? Are you on the right track of your legacy? Or is it, are you going down a path that, you don't want to be remembered for, or that you're not going to be proud to be remembered for? Or are you going to be remembered at all? And that was kind of one of the first things that really made a huge change for me. Once I started thinking about legacies, like that changed my direction of my life, like by obviously significant margin,
sure.
or I wouldn't be sitting in front of this microphone right now.
Yeah. And then obviously for me too, because I just was like, oh, well, like you're just conditioned and raised to like be on a path, like whatever kind of like the dressers or what's the
coffee tables?
The coffee tables. Like you're just supposed to stay within that and not like go explore anything, like do the safe thing, do the right thing, do what they tell you to do. And so when you start talking like that, I was like, huh, yeah. And like I listened, but then I started like reading, picking up some books, really diving into like that whole area of like, who are you? Like what you actually are, who you want to be, or what do you want to be? It's not just like the physical form. Like what are you like wanting to be?
Yeah.
And yeah, life has changed a lot in that time, because now it's like, walls have been shattered.
And I have like, I'm having like the absolute time of my life at this point. I'm having so much fun. Because I'm doing like what I actually want to do, what I want to be known for. Again, like a huge thing I say it to a lot of people is like, you have to think about the person you want to be. Who do you want to be? And then like acting in accordance with that person. So many people wait to become the person that they want to be. And again, it's because people are thinking about what they want to have. Don't think about what you want to have. When I say ask you what your goals are, what your vision is for your life, the question shouldn't be what you want to have. The question should be, who do you want to be? Like, okay, let's start this. Like, think of what a person would have, and then you go like, what would that person be? And then you have to like act in accordance with that person. And there's no use waiting. If that person works out, then you should start working out right now. If you're not working out, then you're not that person. If that person would be like a personal trainer with a podcast, for example, then you need to, are you a personal trainer with a podcast? No? Okay, well then you better start now.
Start the steps.
Right? I shouldn't say with. I just said like a personal trainer with a podcast. I said don't say what you would have. But like, I would be a podcaster. And like, you have to start acting in accordance with that. And that was one thing that really hit me pretty big. And then another thing with the legacy that started to transition, I would say, into more intense territory was simply that we have incredibly limited time on this planet. Incredibly limited time. And I think that that's a thing that probably creeps up on a lot of people, especially when they're high. I think it's a thought that probably tons of people have. And I think that's what scares them the most. And that is a thing that I want to be reminded of every day.
Yeah.
I want to be reminded of that every single day.
Borrow time.
Because I don't want to be reminded of it when the day comes. I want to know every day, like, did I do everything that I can do to be me, be the best version of me today? Would I be proud of myself if I was to die today?
Yeah.
Did I leave behind the legacy that I wanted to leave behind? And, at this point I could definitively say that, at least for the last 4 months that I've been like truly on my own, I have been, but I would say like without question for the last 2.5 years, every day I've like been the best version of me.
For sure. And I think that's just not even just your legacy, but like every interaction that like a person has with like in everyday life. I think of the fact of like when I'm at the grocery store or I'm like sitting somewhere or I'm with somebody, like what is their like impression of me? Like how am I leaving my mark on them? And if I'm like the bitch at the grocery store standing in line, not smiling, not trying to make conversation, not just trying to like connect with somebody when they're trying to or anything like that, like I don't want to leave even the grocery store with that, like that feeling, or have that person have bad feelings.
Yeah.
You got to leave a good like mark and stamp.
Without a doubt. And like, if you were the person that just had like, even just like a frown on your face at the grocery store, and somebody looked at you and thought that you were like a bad person, and then you got hit by a bus walking out of the grocery store, like, is that who you want to be? Like, I would just rather be the person that like literally was living their life the way that it should be lived, like every moment, or the way that I think it should be lived every moment. And if you want to be living with a frown at the grocery store, well then more power to you, but I certainly don't.
No, a smile goes a long way.
It does.
Yeah. You can make someone's day. And like even open up a conversation. And then I've done it before where I just like acknowledge somebody and they feel that energy and that like ability to be like open up and just like start talking to me. And I know you've had the same thing. And sometimes people just want to like talk and maybe vent something off of themselves, like a total stranger. And I just like, I'm like, okay, let's chat. Let's connect for a little bit. I'll sit here with you and be present with you and move on from it afterwards.
So like those are things that resonated really heavy with me early on. Another really big moment for me was, this was one of the first, like probably really rough highs that I had. Do you know what I'm going to say? No? I wonder if you even remember this. This is going back like, again, at this point, like super early. So we're going back like 3 years. And I remember you and I had like a pretty intense fight. I can't remember like specifically what it was about, but I just remember it was like a fight that like I was like not happy that we had.
Yeah.
And I think it like, actually, I don't even remember. I don't remember the details of it. I just remember like getting really high and then coming to you and being like, I don't want to fight anymore. Like I never want to fight anymore. And I never want to fight again. Yeah. And I don't know if we've like fought since then, honestly. Maybe like once. We may have had like one fight since then.
I mean, the fights that we have now, and we've talked about before, is just we come to a disagreement.
These aren't fights.
Let's talk it. Yeah, exactly. Like it's a disagreement. Let's talk it over. Let's say my point. Let's say your point. Let's meet.
We've talked
and
about
then
this
we move over
times.
and like we kiss and move on.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for plant medicine, and I like have said this before to like friends and stuff, we 1000% would not be who we are today. We would have never been able to work on ourselves because these like doing these things have really helped us to turn inwards, fix our problems. Yeah. And not only on ourselves, but then in our relationship. And we would for sure be on a trajectory of like being in an unhappy marriage, probably hating each other, arguing, fighting, all of that, potentially lead to divorce. And like we don't have that anymore. Like we've just, I can't even imagine having a fight with you and not coming to like any type of resolution.
Yeah.
Or a disagreement,
yeah, it's funny because it's like, it's not just the plant medicine. It's the plant medicine matched with our lifestyle. Yeah. I think. Because I think it's all the good things that we do for ourselves. Like, we treated ourselves really well. Like, we were going to the gym before I started smoking weed. I was meditating, gratitude, like even manifestation, all of that stuff I was doing regularly before I started smoking weed and doing mushrooms. And I do feel like the weed and the mushrooms like supercharged my ability to see like in 4D as opposed to like, I think most people are seeing shit in 2D. And I think those practices I just mentioned help you see things in 3D. And then I think once you're there, the plant medicine helps you see shit in like 4D.
Well, because again, I think you're doing, so years before, you're doing the meditation, you're doing the manifestations, but then you were still not being your best self because you weren't turning inwards and you didn't find and uncover those dark areas in yourself.
Sure. I mean,
so like you were like doing the manifestations, you were doing those practices, but then you were not acting in accordance with it all the time.
I would say I was, when I say turbocharged, when I say that the plant medicine turbocharged it, I mean that in the sense that I was making changes. It was just like crawling compared to like what the plant medicine helped me do, which was like plow through it. Like I said, I can go on an hour-long walk and come back with like 7 ideas to bring to you, or like breakthroughs or whatever. And like, there's no way that would happen. Like, not on weed, or at least like pre-weed me. It would take me 18 walks to come up with like one idea.
For sure.
You know?
Well, because you weren't able to like see through it and like
really
so I mean, like
at least that's how I see it. I also would say that it has helped me through that same mechanism, like tap more into like my feminine energy, like considerably, which again, like creativity, like not follow, like being less like rule oriented, and being a lot more like go with the flow and receptive, and allowed me to like just tap into myself like considerably more. It's a huge thing. A lot of people,
I think that also goes back to the idea of like living like who you want to be at every moment, every day, and knowing like it's okay if things don't go into like exactly how I planned it. Because like you were very like for a while it was like it's here, I must do it, and it just wasn't always fun. I would say at times.
I give myself a lot more grace.
For sure. And I think that we definitely, again, helped with that.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't give myself more grace. I think I give the world more grace.
Yes. I think you realize, like, okay, things are going to happen. And now I know how to, like, cope with it and deal with it and just be like, okay, I need to change plans. I need to pivot, and it's okay.
Yeah. I've said this 1,000 times too. Like, all I do is I just focus on myself. Yeah. And I think the weed has helped me go, listen, you can't change shit around you. You can only change yourself. So focus on that. So that's really where I think you're right. It's helped me be more like accepting of the world around me, and just go like, that stuff like doesn't matter. And I'm not going to try to force anything that isn't like meant to happen. All I could do is like force myself to be better, stronger, faster, read faster, more jacked, smarter.
Oh, everything?
All that shit.
Would you say you have ever had scary highs? Would you call them? I know we kind of talked about before, like you had like breakthroughs. Was anything like ever really like?
Dude, it's only scary if like you're afraid of it. Like I'm not afraid of shit. Like, send it my way. I want it to reveal that stuff to me. And like it can be, I always say it can be intense, but it doesn't mean bad. There is no good or bad. There just stuff is. Good or bad is how you react to it. Exactly like what I was just saying. Yeah. So when I start to feel like that weird, like anxious feeling, like I like it. I'm like, here we go. Like we're on to something. Like, let's make it happen. I want you to scare me. I want you to tell me the things that I haven't been willing to face. And then if it does reveal itself, it's like, I just let it do it. And again, I just go, okay, I get it. Let's move on.
Are you called to do anything else? Beyond?
So I would definitely do ayahuasca.
Okay.
Without a doubt, I really want to do ayahuasca. And I would like to do DMT too. I also want to do MDMA with you. Like just get lovey-dovey on the floor and roll around naked on some MDMA. And maybe like not fuck. Maybe just like...
Just cuddle.
Cuddle naked. And like tell each other what we think of each other and like rub each other's bodies.
I mean, we do that like regularly now.
I know. Imagine doing it on what people have described MDMA as pretty euphoric. So I think that would be fun.
But isn't that an interesting thought though for people who don't do that regularly? They're probably like, this is so crazy. Like, what a weird high. Like, that's why when you're describing like what it does, I'm like, so you're saying like every night, like we do that? Like, I don't understand. Like, what's gonna be different?
But I bet you it's different. I bet you we can
act
like on the next level. I mean, like, I'm not gonna say no. Like, look at what this has done. Like, look at what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So like, it very well might. I personally, like, one of the things that does bug me about that in particular, and the DMT, well, I guess it depends on the type of DMT that you do, but like, I only like doing natural shit. I don't like doing stuff that's been processed or is like comes from like a lab or anything like that. So that's why like I'm not a huge fan of the idea of doing LSD. Would I say absolutely never? I'll never do it. No, I don't think I'm not like, it's not on my roadmap. It's not on my map right now. It's not on my massive action
Your
plan
5-year
anytime soon. So it's I don't expect it to happen in the next 3 years at least. And MDMA is something that I would do given the opportunity for sure. DMT, given the opportunity, I would absolutely do it. And ayahuasca is a thing that I'm gonna find myself seeking out here. I think really soon.
For sure. I think you've been saying that for a while.
Yeah.
And now more than ever, like I really do believe you're ready for it. I'm personally not ready for it. I know you have to be called for it, so I'm not going into that like road yet.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I'm
gonna do my things that I enjoy right now.
I want to know what's hiding in here. I want to know what's hiding in there. You can't run from me. You can't run from me, demons. I'm going to tackle you and put you on a leash and then sick you on the world.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of demons, why do you only want like plant medicine? Why don't you want something made in the lab or made?
So the plant medicine is one rule that but that's not a rule. That's just like a general guideline because like, again, I would do other stuff, the other ones that I just mentioned. Now where I draw the line is I say I only do drugs that kill my ego, not boost my ego.
Can you imagine this man on other drugs? Ego boosting.
But like in some ways, like marijuana has only boosted my ego by making me a better person. It has made me the person that I want to be.
You are a better person. I mean, we both are better people, but like.
But it's made me the person I want to be. So like my ego is through the roof, and a lot of that is because of weed. But like only because I let it hurt me. Like I let it do its damage on me, and the same thing with mushrooms. But I would not. I think Coke is for fucking losers. I think Adderall is for fucking losers. I think if you do Adderall regularly, I think you're a fucking loser. You have to take like a pharmaceutical medication to have like half of my productivity. Come on, bro. I'm serious. Yeah, I mean, like I'm more productive on you than you on weed.
Yeah.
And you're taking Adderall. Like that's the way I look at it.
I mean, there is like a national shortage on Adderall because of all the people that take it, but also people I think are taking it for party reasons too.
And you're not as fucking smart as you think you are on Adderall. You're just turbocharged stupid. You are.
So. Not boosting your ego.
It's a fact. Like it's just the reality of it. Yeah, Adderall's for fucking losers. Cocaine is for dummies.
Especially right now.
Oh
my God.
Those are the two that I would just say, like, again, if you need that, like, just, dude, get to the gym, eat right, and drink some coffee.
Get outside, get some sun on you.
Get some sun.
Get some good sleep.
And maybe
take care of yourself.
And maybe just like be like a savage so that you don't need the extra energy and the extra boost and the extra confidence. Like just be a savage. And that shit comes naturally. I am cocaine.
Oh, okay. Oh my God. That was so dumb. What's that? I can't believe you just said that.
I can, but I.
Isn't that like Johnny Depp? Doesn't he say a line like that in that movie?
I don't
that like
know.
Oh my God. Well, that was a good one.
I might edit that one out. No, I won't. I said I was high.
Yeah, sure. Blame it on the plant medicine. Now plant medicine's the problem.
I said a lot of dumb things on this show. That was probably the dumbest thing that I've ever said. I do mean the Adderall thing, though.
Yes.
Again, I said it last week. I see that gray, pale face when you don't have purpose in life. I see that like dead behind the eyes look when you don't have purpose. And I could see that like weak, pathetic, like scared person behind somebody on Adderall's eyes where it's like, I'm a liar. I'm a fake person. I'm like, I need like to be turbocharged in order to like survive on a daily basis. It's like, and to like get anything done. It's like, dude, have some self-agency. It drives me crazy. Sorry. I'm done.
All right. Off your soapbox?
Yeah.
For a minute?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk then alcohol.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. Well, how much? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we can probably wrap up in like a few minutes.
Okay,
here.
yeah. Kind of our relationship with alcohol and what it was.
Yeah.
You know, Monday through Thursday, we were always very good. We wouldn't drink during the week. It was never like, oh, after work, unwind, have like a glass of wine or a drink. But then like Friday through like Sunday into the wee hours of the morning, we would be like Friday, Saturday, Sunday fun day, roll into Sunday night for like a while there, like post-COVID.
Yeah, it's definitely.
There was like
definitely during COVID and post-COVID, there was a lot of drinking. That's what like our entire adult life has been.
No.
It was certainly that way for a little while. Yeah. But even prior to COVID, like we were, drinking a couple times a week at least.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, probably like a couple times, and I always liked drinking. Again, I was never the kind of person, like if I was either drinking or I wasn't.
Yeah, for sure.
I was never like have a glass of wine with dinner and then like call it a night, or have two glasses of beer or 2 beers or whatever and then call it a night. I was always like, I'm not drinking if I'm not going to be drunk. And again, that would be like at least 2/3 of the time, probably 80% of the time I was not drinking. But then when I was drinking, it's like I liked to drink.
For sure.
So, and I also like what was made it dangerous is that I never got hangovers.
Yeah, I know. That was real nice.
I never got hangovers again, like because I was treating my body really well. I think the most of the time, and I was eating well and working out hard and all of that.
Yeah,
so
we would hydrate. Like we'd be so hydrated before, and we were always really good about like if we were having a drink, have a glass of water. Like always found that balance. Like while we were out for sure.
Yeah, and we would drink a lot of water for sure. And then the more I smoked weed, the less I wanted to drink. And to this day, like I love having a few drinks. Like I do. And I pretty much at this point only drink tequila on a rock. Or I drink wine. Usually just white wine. So those are like the only two things I drink. I love having a few tequilas on a Saturday night. I love having a couple glasses of wine with dinner. I
love a dirty martini at a steakhouse.
I do love a dirty martini for sure. But like, I don't love being drunk. Yeah. I like enjoying a few drinks. Here's like my perfect cocktail is a couple tequilas, a little bit of weed, and like a gram of mushrooms. Like maybe like 3 tequilas, couple hits off the joint, and like a gram of mushrooms on a Saturday night, and I am in heaven. I just am floating. I'm so happy. It's like I don't want too much of anything. I just want like the right middle ground on all of them, and that's like all I need. I'm happy with that. When I start to feel drunk, I feel like unhappy. I'm like, I'm done. I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
I know. And it's really, I love the feeling now of knowing and like really being in tune to it, because we would go out and be like, oh, like, yeah, vodka soda. I mean, the amount of vodka sodas I could drink in a night was really bad. And then people would be doing shots on top of it. And it was just like, yeah, this is what you do. And like, let's party. Let's keep going till like 2, 3 in the morning. And now if we're out and we're drinking, like, cruising through the night just on sipping, and then the moment I start to feel like, oh, I'm gonna stop now, I think I'm good, like having that control. And like I used to be like, no, like we're having fun, everyone's drinking, and now I'm kind of like, y'all can keep drinking, I'm good, I'm chilling, like I don't need to do this. Because then the next day waking up and not even, again, we didn't get hungover, like we didn't have that issue, but that feeling of like just inflammation and feeling just like my sleep was off because of that. Like
I would, and like it's not to say I never got sloppy drunk. I would certainly get sloppy drunk from time to time, at the very least. The other thing is that I never blacked out. I've blacked out once in my life. And I've had like 5 hangovers in my life. And that also was a reason where I was like, I'm good. Like I'm not like a lot of people around me are blacking out, so I'm drinking. And like I'm not slowing down at all, but I also was like, I'm like, I feel like I'm keeping it together more than everybody around me. So I'm thinking like, I'm doing pretty good. Also, like, I don't get the hangovers. I'm not blacking out. So like, I guess my body is handling it better. And I do actually believe that my body was probably handling it better, but like that doesn't mean that like you should be doing it, of course,
For sure.
right? So
I mean, you're destroying your body
yeah,
while drinking alcohol.
it is. It's poison. It's bad. I'm like, I wouldn't take any of it back because then we wouldn't be where we are today by any stretch. But like, I am like, dude, like, why were you getting drunk? Like, what do you need? What were you looking for?
And I wonder, thinking back.
I was looking for a good time. I was looking for
fun. Good time.
That was another.
Like maybe you're also trying to like, were you not wanting to like uncover certain things?
Yeah.
Were you wanting to like loosen up and lose some inhibitions?
It was like the regular like working for the weekend kind of bullshit where it's like you don't have anything to celebrate, so that's again not true. Like there was things would have things to celebrate, but like you didn't have something to celebrate every fucking week.
Yeah.
Now I feel like we have something to celebrate almost every week.
Yeah.
But like back then it was like there was nothing, like you're just going out to like numb yourself from the week and like have as much fun as you can before you went back to work on Monday is really what it came down to.
Yeah. And I used to definitely be like, oh, I wish the weekend was a little bit longer, like just to like keep the party going. Mm-hmm. But now I'm at this point where I'm like, my weekend was great. I did so much shit. Like we were going. And I'm like, okay, Monday morning rolls around. It's time to go back to it. I'm not like, get me to the weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel the same way. I say the only difference between my weeks and my weekends right now is the fact that you're around.
Yeah.
Because like I'm pretty much like my weeks, I'm working on the weekend now, and like but having you around, it's just, like, that's what I look forward to on the weekend now. Is like I'm not alone in the house without you.
Oh, well, you're not alone. You have the dogs.
I know.
You have Joy and Wolf when they want to come around you.
I was gonna say, which was luckily, for the most part, like I was a good drunk. I think like I was generally a happy drunk, and like
unless if people wanted to stop partying,
like when people started to stop partying,
you became a monster, especially on vacations. If we were like, okay, we're like day 4, day 5, and we're like, let's just have a chill night. You're like, we're on vacation, we need to keep partying, and we're like, dude, like we're good.
I know. So I'm saying most of the time. When I was drunk, I was a good drunk. But then I definitely, like, just like anybody, like, you have bad drunk moments, and I certainly have my share of them. But, like, again, like, all those things combined, the lack of hangovers, the lack of blacking out, the fact that, like, I didn't, like, ruin relationships generally when I was, like, drunk or anything, or do, like, a bunch of stupid things that I regretted. Again, I've done things I regret when I'm drunk, but, like, it wasn't a regular thing, like, by any stretch. So... I think all those things combined was like, oh, I'm handling this like just fine. And then like again, now I just realize like I don't like being drunk. I think it sucks. Yeah. I like being a little loose, but I don't really.
A little high.
I don't even like really need the drinks to like get me loose anymore. So, is there anything else that we wanted to mention as part of this episode? Like, I feel like I pretty much went through most of it in terms of like my.
Yeah, breakthroughs.
My usage. I guess I'll just end by saying this is like in terms of how I do smoke weed every day, and I think about my tasks on my to-do list in terms of things that are efficiency tasks and then things that are like creative or effectiveness tasks, I guess you can say. So I don't like to be high when I'm doing things that I just want to knock out, like things that are just like. I want to move on from one thing to the next. I don't need to take a lot of time or a lot of care with them and like just bang out. I'd like to be not high for those things. I also don't like to be high at the gym. So I never get high before I go and work out. I'm always sober during my workout. And then when I'm doing like things where I need to like be really critical or like dive into or like be really focused on or do a lot of like creative style lateral thinking or anything like that, then I really do like to be high. And I like to be high on my walks too, which is like all part of that stuff. So normally like I'm higher later in the day. How early I get high is dependent on like
when you get your stuff
when
done.
I get all that other stuff done and I get done at the gym and like what else I have coming up. Like if I have like a bunch of client calls, I won't get high necessarily. However, if I have like a couple at the end of the day and I put a bunch of creative stuff earlier in the day, then like maybe I will, and I just won't will give myself time for it to like burn off before my client calls. But that's kind of like how I use it. It's kind of like between efficiency and like creative stuff. But
I feel like I used to do it the same. Like when I want to get like deep into like my journaling or my creative stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's when I will want to like get high. Or if it's just again end of day, like on a Friday, like nothing I love more than like I get home from work and we grill and hang out and just chill in the backyard and get high or take an edible and just like that's like a great way to like relax on a Friday night.
Yeah, no, it's the best.
I really enjoy it.
I love being high. That's like the
and
bottom
like
line
listening
here.
to music or a podcast or a comedy show. Like, oh my gosh.
So maybe I do have a problem because I have to say I do prefer being high to being sober. I do. I love it. I love being high. I love weed. And maybe that's a problem. I don't know. But like
I don't
when I stop getting my shit done on my to-do list, when I stop stacking wins, I will stop taking it or stop smoking it. That's kind of the way I feel about it. When I start to feel like it's hurting me more, like it hasn't done any damage at this point. It's crazy. It's kind of wild.
And it's only done good things for us.
It has made me. One time I was on a podcast and I said that I am cocaine. So
run it back.
So I can't say that it's been like foolproof, but for the most part, it's been pretty good in terms of helping me make life decisions.
You're so dumb.
All right. We got to get going. We got to get out of here. All right. That was good. Good one, baby.
Good one.
All right.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Peace and love.